Hello guys, so in this tutorial I'll be showing you how to create a simple authentication system using pure Python without any framework or libraries. Well, this is a very good project for you to start with if you are still new to Python, because it's going to expose you to the basic concept of Python, stuff like for loops and conditional statements and many other things, including functions, how to use functions in Python. So let us dive right in. So the first thing I've done is that I just created a root folder and I called that tutorial, and inside that root folder I opened my Sublime text and I created two files. One I called one authentic.py and the other one is called database.txt. So what we'll be doing is that we'll be storing users input into database.txt, and we will write scripts that will check if the user's input is actually inside user database.txt and use it to authenticate a login and create and return a success login to the users. So the first thing we are going to have to do is that we're going to register the we're going to create functions to register the user. So the first thing I'll just like to do is that I'll just say define register, and inside the register I'll just come down here and say pass. Then I need another function. That function, let me call it access. Then under that function I'll say pass. Then up here I'll come down and I'll open database.txt. I'll store it inside a variable called db, and inside db I'll just say database.txt. So I want it to open and read that file for now. I don't want it to write into it yet because I need to do some things first. So I'll create user input, and the first one is the username. I want the users to enter their username, and inside there I'll say create username, and I'll put a colon there. Then down here I'll say password equals, then I'll say input. Then I'll say create password and a colon. Then I need another password to actually check if the first password you entered is correct. I mean, that's normal, right? So say input, then confirm password. Okay, use capital there and use a small letter here. Alright, so the next thing I would like to do is that I'll create some conditional statements after all these things I've written up here. So the first thing is I want to check if password 1 is equal to password 2. Well, sorry, this should be password 1 and password 2. Then the first thing I like to check is to check if the first password that you entered is equal to the second password that you entered or not. So I'll say if password that should be capital letter. If password equals password 1, then do the following. I'll just say print passwords do not match. Sorry, this should be not equal to. So passwords now don't match. Restart. I want them to restart the whole process of registration again. Restart, how is that spelled again? So down I'll just call register function again. This is what we'll call a recursive function, as a function calling itself. Then else I also want to say, okay, if that's true, I want to do something like I want to check if the length of the password is lesser than or greater than a particular value. So I'll just say if length password equals, or let me say less than or equal to, let's use 6. So if that's true, then print password too short. Sorry, I need to plug in my system, it's a bit low, so just give me a moment to do that. Alright, so once I do that, and I just want to also tell the user to restart. So maybe I'll put a column there, and I'll also recalls the function. So I'll call register again. Then down here I'll just say helif. Well, I don't know if I should write this now, but what I just want to do is I want to check if the username that you entered is already inside the database.txt or not. So if it's there, of course, a user cannot proceed because that means the username exists. It's just like a normal. So I'll just say in DB. If it's in DB, then print username exists. Then I'll also recalls the function, and I'll call the function again. So once I do this, the next thing I want to do is that I just want to say, okay, after all these, once we've checked all these parameters, I would also like to pass an else statement right here and say, okay, then if all these are false, then open the database, then open database and append to it. So I'll just say database.txt, then I want you to append to database.txt. Then right here we're going to be doing something. I'll say the first thing I'll just do is just say, okay, db.write. Then this is going to be a bit tricky because we want to be able to store the username and the password. Those are the things we need. We don't need the password. We want to be stored in a database.txt. It's just a confirmation criteria. So what we'll just be doing is that we are going to enter the user's input. The first one, username and password, and a comma will separate the first username and password. Then after the data has been entered at the top, then there will be a second line and another line. We want to be creating another line for each input per user. That's what we want to be doing here. You see what I'm trying to talk about if you didn't get that in English anyways. So what I'll just say username, then I'll say plus, then I'll leave something like a quote here. Then I'll also say, because I want them to be entered at the same time, and I want to tweak this to be able to accept two arguments, because it doesn't accept two arguments naturally. So I'll just leave something there and tell it to create a new line. So this should work, and I'll just say print success. All right, but before we just append to this, let us comment this out. Let's see if our functions are working already. So for these, I'll just comment this out also, and down here I'll just call register. So let's open up our command line and run register. So I'll just say authentic.py. So let's see if things are working out already. So if I say Omishola now and I say my password, I say let's use a short password, and the second password I say Ido. Okay, passwords don't match, so restarting, and it's telling you to create a username. So let me just put something like a column here. So another thing we do, okay, let me re-enter my username, and let's say pass, and here pass, password too short, so restart. Let me just restart the whole program, and authentic.py Omishola, and down here I'll say Omishola Paul. That's not my real password, don't grab that. So Omishola Paul again, and it's giving us success. That means we've entered the correct parameter. So let's uncomment this stuff that we comment down here. I want to be sure that there is no indentation error there. So let's now write into our database.txt by uncommenting the hex, or the else statement there. So I'll say it says create username, and I'll just say Omishola. Then down here I'll say the Paul. Then again I'll say the Paul, and it says success. So let's check inside our database.txt, and we have Omishola Idowu Paul. Then again, if we entered something like let's see if we can register another user, Idowu 2, and down here we can just say hello world or something, then hello world, then it says success, and here we have Idowu 2 and the hello world created there. So now we need to do something briefly. We need to be able to, we need to be able to match this username with this password. We need to be able to log in into the system and do some checks and balances, but we can't do that if we just have it like this, because there's no way Python is going to assess this. It's first off, they are not separated by a comma, so it's not going to be seeing it as a list or dictionary or anything. So it's just seen as a plain text separated by a comma. So what we are going to be doing is that we will just take this whole thing right here and put it into a list, then make a dictionary out of it. We separate this username from these passwords, and we will make the usernames a single list, and we'll make the passwords a single list. Then we create a dictionary that will match up the username with their corresponding passwords. So let's see how we are going to do that. So that here I'll just create an empty variable. I'll say that's D, and an empty list. Then I'll create another empty list to store my password. Then after that, I'll use a for loop to split my text in database. For I in DB, then I'll say do the following: A comma for I in DB, then I'll say A comma B. That means I want to split the text. Then I'll say I dot split. Then anywhere there's a comma, I'll split it there. Then down here, I want to remove any character because I've splitted the text already. So I want to remove any character that is behind the password. The space and the comma right here, I want to get rid of them so that the password can stand alone. So I'll just say B equals B dot strip, and that's it. Then I'll now say D dot append. D is storing the username, so D dot append A, and F dot append B, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's it for now. Then I'll now come down and say data equals then I'll convert each one of them into a dict, and I'll say dict, then I'll zip it, and I'll say D, then comma F, and let's see what data gives us. Print data. Alright, so let me just comment all this out, and let's print, and let me comment this one out. So let's see what this function actually does. Let's see if we've done something worthwhile. Name DB is not defined, so we shouldn't have comments. Place a comment on that. So DB we need to redefine. So okay, so now we can see that we have Omishola then matching up with. Let's check if that's correct. We have Omishola matching up with the Idowu Paul, which is the password that we've entered recently. Then Idowu 2 matching up with hello world. Then we can now access this dictionary anyhow as we like. So back into our function here, our elif statement here, I'll just say if, instead of saying elif username in DB, then since I've known that my username has been stored in D, then I'll say elif username in D, then print username exists, then give me register again. So let's see if we are on the right track. Alright, so I'm going to create a username that exists. Let's pick Omishola now, and down here I'll just say my password. Let me just use Omishola Paul, and again Omishola Paul. Now it's telling me that username exists because I have Omishola already registered in the database. So now let's retry and say we want to enter another one, Idowu Omishola, about that, and create. We can now use Python is good, and again Python is good, or something like that. Okay, so success, and it's giving us Python is good, Python is good. So we have registered successfully. All right, and that's that. Cool, right? Okay, so the next thing we're going to be doing is that since we've checked if our username is already in existence, we've been able to establish if password 1 is equal to password 2 or not. So the next thing we're going to be doing is that we're going to be granting user access into the app. So let's get started with that. Alright, so the first thing we will be doing is that we are going to, I'm just going to copy this. I'll just copy these two, then I'll paste them down here because we want to create an access function now. So instead of create username, I'll just say enter username, enter your username, and enter your password. Then after that, I'll come down here and say that if not the length of, because I want them to actually enter something. If they don't enter something, then there's a problem. If not, length username, and or let me use all there, or password, less than or equal to 1. That means if the length of the username and password is not equal to 1, then do the following. All right, so I'll just take all these because I also want to pass, I also want to authenticate my username, and I want to run some checks if a user is actually trying to log in into the system. So I'll just copy all this code again and paste down here. So you do the following. Sorry, so let me retry that again. Okay, so to avoid indentation error, I'll just format those again. Then down here I'll just print. Okay, sorry about that. So I'll do all this, and that's it. So these are data right down here. So I'll just try a try clause down here. I can put everything into a try and say that try the following: if data into, or if data, we can access that using if data contains the username already, then try the following also. Then I'll just say if password, that should be capital, if password equals data equals data into username. That means I want to check also, after checking if the username that the user entered is actually inside the database.txt, I also want to check if the password and the username matches. So if they match, then just continue and print should start small letter there, so let's continue and print login success. Then again I want it to welcome the user, and it says I, then comma, I'll just put a comma here, I, then username, else print username or password incorrect, or or username incorrect. Then down here I'll just say except, sorry, so down here I'll just say except, so if all of this is not true, I'll just also come down here and say that print incorrect password or username. So after passing all those checks, then after the except, print incorrect password or username. So since they don't match, so these are the things that will happen. Then down here I'll just say else. That means if data is not inside the database.txt, then print something like username doesn't exist. Then again I can say except if all this is not happening, then I can just say login error, login error. So let's see if what we've entered is actually good. But the first thing we are going to want to do is that we should actually read this file database.txt. So right here I'll just say open database.txt, then again I'll put a comma there and say I want you to read it. So let's see if our code is working correctly or not. Alright, so let's run our code. But before we run our code, I would like to also do something. I like to actually also create something like a home function. But before that, let's just run our code, okay? Let's see if it's working. So let's run authentic.py, create username. So let's call the login function first, or the access function, because after a user accesses register, then we also want them to log in. So we are going to have to create an home function. So I'll just say define home, then inside the home I'll pass an argument called an option, then that will be an optional argument. Then inside that place I'll say option equals option equals input, then I'll say login. login, then I'll use a pipe there, or sign up. Then down here I'll say if option equals login, then give me register. Give me the function register, else give me a function sign up, that's access, or I can just say elif because there could be some issues right there. So I can just say elif, then I say option equals sign up, then of course give me access, else, then let the program print something like please enter an option. So down here what we need to do is to just call the function O. Then up here we don't need to call function register anymore. Then we don't need to print data anymore, just to avoid some irregularities up there. So let's go there and see if our function is stuff is actually working. So elif saying a syntax error, there's been a syntax error. What's up there? Okay, sorry. So that shouldn't take anything. Elif this, then else. So let's restart our program. Then if I just say okay, I want to log in, so I want to test our login system now. That shouldn't be a create username, of course it should be okay. I made a mistake here, so this should actually be an access, not, and this should be register. Okay, so let's start again. So up here I'll just say let me just press Ctrl C there and restart my program, and once I enter login, then I'll say enter a username. Okay, so username, one of the usernames that we have inside database.txt, let me just enter something that's not correct for now. So looking at that, I have a username, let's say Komishola. Then let me now enter a wrong password. Let me enter hello world to see if our program is actually matching the password with the username already. So L there. So we can see hello world and password or username incorrect. Okay, so I'll run that again and I'll say I want to log in, and I'll enter a username that's not inside the database. I'll just probably use something like Idowu, and down here it says enter password, and I'll just enter a correct password. Let me say Idowu Paul. It's saying login error. Okay, actually it shouldn't be giving me a login error. Well, let me see what the problem is. Okay, well, I can see that we didn't actually we didn't complete our stuff here. We didn't complete our conditional statements here. Okay, so if what it's just doing is that if all these are not correct, because the username that we entered is not actually in the database, so it's going to give us login error. So, but instead of that, I want you to just tell me that username or password doesn't exist, or password also doesn't exist. Then I'll also just say that after the whole thing has been done, then I want to say else if not this one and this one is not true, then I'll just say print please enter a value. Okay, so I guess that's complete now. So let me just start again and let me pick login, and I'll enter a username that's already in the database in database.txt. So let me just come up here and pick, or let me say Idowu Omishola this time around. Idowu Omishola this time around. Then down here I'll say enter password that let me enter the password that belongs to Idowu2. Hello world. Is that correct? Yeah, that's correct. Password or username incorrect. So let's now enter a correct one. Login. Option is not defined. That's funny. Okay. All right. So login and enter a username. Let me just come up here and pick one of these usernames, Idowu Omishola. Then down here I'll pick Python is good. Login success, then it's saying I Idowu Omishola. That's just how, so that's it guys, just how to create a simple login system in Python. It's very simple. Then we can also register a user and call authentic.py. You see now I said enter an option because I didn't enter any option there. Then I'll just say sign up here. Then here it's telling me to create a username. Then I'll just create a username called Jogul. Okay, let me just cancel that, that's not correct. So let me just say sign up. Then I'll create a username, maybe Jogul, and down here create password. I can just say my passes 1p, then again my passes. So success, and by the time we check in here, we can see that it's now giving us the password and the username. Then again we can now log in and pick login here. Can give us then the Jogul that we just entered, that we just registered. Then I'll say let me enter a wrong password actually. Let me say Idowu Paul. So it's saying password or username incorrect. Then again, if I enter the correct one and I say login, then it's going to give me when I say Jogul, then I enter my passes. So login success, then it's telling me I Jogul. So that's it guys for this tutorial. We've been able to create a simple login system in Python using pure Python without any framework or anything. So if you are taking up a real life project, it could be a bit different, but this is just the basic things that you need to check when you are creating a real life when you're checking a real life database. Actually, these are just some of the basic things you need to know, some of the biggest basic things you need to check through. So thanks guys, and if you love the tutorial, please put a like on the video and subscribe to my channel. More videos to come soon. Shout out to you guys.